Hey guys, really excited for this video tonight. Going to be talking a little bit about nutrients, primarily alkalinity, nitrates, and phosphates. I'm also going to show you guys a little bit of what's going on up at my dad's house right now. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about, and it's something that I actually get asked about frequently now, is alkalinity. What's the importance of alkalinity? What's an alkalinity swing? What's a good range for my alkalinity to be at? And what does alkalinity do? I'm not a scientist. I'm just going to tell you that right now. But what I can share with you is my experience and what's worked for me, and I know it can work for you too, as long as we have one common denominator between us. It's consistency. As long as you're consistent in everything that you're doing, I can almost guarantee that your reef tank will be successful. Now, when I say consistent, I don't mean like consistently having a pH of 5.2 and alkalinity of 2.4 and nitrates of 150. I mean like in the appropriate ranges, which we are going to talk a little bit about here. So actually, let's bring that up. Alkalinity. What's a good range? Everyone says 8 to 11. What's my preferable range? I say about 9 to 10.5. Why I like that range? Now I'm not saying it's okay to swing between 9 and 10.5, but I like that range because the higher the alkalinity is, the more quickly you're going to see growth. And I've actually seen this firsthand in my tank as I raised my alkalinity from the low 8s to roughly 9.8 is on average what my alkalinity is, 9.8. I've watched my acropora grow almost twice as fast in some cases. Some acropora are just slow growers. And okay, quick pause. I'm filming in my bedroom right now. So this is my A roll. My B roll is going to be some of my tank and maybe some of the drone footage or whatever. I don't have a super nice house where I can shoot really nice backgrounds and everything. I do have a nice kind of light, soft light thing here, which has been really cool. Makes me feel a little bit more professional. But I just wanted to throw that out there. So if you're wondering why is this dude sitting on his bed with a stack of pillows behind him, that's why. We have a small house, and it's pretty cluttered too. So anyways, back to alkalinity. My alkalinity, 9.8. An acceptable range for it to swing, I would say about 0.5. Anything more than that is going to cause too much stress. I've seen it firsthand again. Like I said, I'm going to be sharing experience with you guys. And if you have your alkalinity at 9.2 and you test it tonight at 9.2 and tomorrow morning you wake up and your alkalinity is 8.2, you've got an issue. And it really needs to be addressed. That's one whole point part per million swing of alkalinity, and that's going to cause stress to your coral. They might tolerate it, but they are not going to thrive with a swing like that. Now, if it's a 0.6, 0.7, they're going to tolerate it, but they're still not going to thrive. Let's try to keep our alkalinity, all of our parameters, as close to on point as possible without big swings. And if we are going to change it, again, like always, make sure we change it gradually and over time. Next thing I want to talk about is nitrates. Nitrates are one of those nutrients in the water that a lot of people still get a bad taste in their mouth over. I actually get excited when I think about nitrates in a reef tank. I actually think about coral color and coral health when I add nitrates to my system now. I used to shun the idea. I know a lot of people still do. They think higher nitrates equals bad system overall. Excess nutrients means more algae, right? Wrong. Higher nutrients that are controlled, and okay, when I say higher, I'm not talking 50 parts per million. I'm not talking 40 parts per million and up. I'm talking between 10 to 20 parts per million nitrates in your system, controlled and consistent. Again, consistently. So if one day you have 5 parts per million nitrates and the next day you have 40, there's an issue and it needs to be addressed gradually and over time. But I like to keep mine right around 15, plus or minus 3 or 4 tops. Usually when I check them, they're between 15 and 18. The last time I checked, they were at 18. But let me share a quick story with you guys about nitrates and phosphates. And we're going to get into phosphates a little bit more. Pretty much very similar to nitrates, just different numbers. But a few months ago, about 2.5 months ago, I had an issue with my tank, and I noticed that a bunch of algae was starting to grow. And as this algae was growing, it was green hair algae and cyanoalgae. And it was spreading, and it was getting worse and worse. So in my mind, with that old school way of thinking, I thought, well, I've got too much nutrients in my tank. I need to do more water changes. I need to feed less. I need to start dosing Vibrant. I need to get these nutrients down so I can get rid of this algae. And it was a big deal to me. And I was testing and testing, and my test kits must have just been highly inaccurate because I finally decided that I was going to overcome my fear of sending in a water sample. I thought, what a waste of money. What a stupid gimmick to send in a water sample when we can test our own water. I was one of those guys. However, I finally overcame my fear. I sent in a water sample and it came back and everything was in check except 3 parameters. Iodine, number 1, which was only a little bit low, and so I do dose iodine once a week, just 2 drops. But my nitrates and phosphates were pretty much 0. Nitrates were undetectable. In a scientific lab's test, my nitrates were undetectable. Phosphates were at 0.02. My tank was starving. That's what was happening. My tank was starving. So how did algae start growing? It's interesting. When your tank is starved of nutrients, you're actually starving beneficial bacteria and beneficial microorganisms in your tank that actually compete with algae. Algae can grow from light. Algae can grow from a lot of other things other than nutrients. So when we starve our tank of nutrients, we're actually starving out the beneficial organisms that compete the algae and actually outcompete the algae in a healthy reef tank. So when I learned that, I thought, wow, interesting. I had a hard time believing it at first, but I decided I'm going to stop doing water changes. I'm going to start feeding a little bit more. I'm going to add another fish, and I'm even going to dose nitrates and phosphates until I can see some kind of result. Again, I started out slowly. Oh, to add to the list of decreasing nutrients in my system, not only was I dosing Vibrant, but I was carbon dosing too. I was literally doing everything wrong, everything. If that's you and you're not sure where your nutrients are at, but you're struggling with an algae issue, make sure you get an accurate test, because it just might be that your tank is actually bottomed out and it's not over nutrient based. So I started dosing nitrates, I started dosing phosphates, and I'm not even kidding you guys. Within 2 to 3 days, I started noticing colors that I hadn't seen for a while, even ever before. After 2-3 weeks, I started seeing something different in my tank, and all of a sudden it brought that joy back. It brought that excitement, like that first love, where you just fall in love with the reef tank, and it's like, I just gotta have it. I gotta make this best. I gotta be the best reefer out there in a good way, and you just get excited about it. And I thought, man, it's coming back, and I was seeing some colors, and everything was responding well. So over the course of the last 2 months, I've slowly brought it up. For a week or two there, my nitrates, I could only get them up to 2 or 3 parts per million. My phosphates, I've had the hardest time on earth getting them above 0.02 to 0.03. I've been dosing them. Every time I do a water change now, I'm taking more GFO out. So again, I've said this 100 times. I don't change anything quickly. So I didn't just decide, oh, I'm just going to yank all the GFO out of my system. No, I was running about this much GFO in my GFO reactor, When I did a water change, I dropped it to about that much. I just did another water change about a week and a half ago. I dropped it down just to a tiny bit. I'm actually seeing my phosphates raised now without dosing to about 0.04 to 0.06 most of the time now. So I'm pretty happy with that, and I think I like where it's at. And I'm starting to see more and more color in my SPS now too. SPS, especially Acropore, takes so long to change. And for impatient people out there like me, and maybe it's like you, sometimes it's hard to wait. But let this video, let what I'm sharing with you now, be some encouragement to you that you can do it. You can get your tank under control. You can make things work. You can do things right, and your tank can thrive too. I'm telling you guys, it's just a little bit of changes that have to be made when you find an issue. Just a little bit of change at a time. It's not like I wake up in the morning and the whole day I stress my way through the day. How am I going to get through today? How is my reef tank going to survive today? Are my nutrients going to be okay? Is my alkalinity going to be okay? Is my iodine going to be okay? I don't stress about it. I let my tank settle in. I test now. I figure out where it's at, and I make small adjustments. I make small adjustments where I need to in order to get those levels to the optimal range that I want for my tank. Now, your tank's needs might be different. You might have an SPS dominant tank. You might have an LPS tank. You might have a huge tank with only 2 corals in it that barely absorbs any nutrients or any alkalinity or calcium. So every tank's a little bit different, but the one common thing that we all share from tank to tank is consistency and experience. What we have to offer to each other is far more valuable than just going online and looking up all the optimal ranges, right? Find someone that's got a similar system to you. Just share what works from your system. Find out what works from their system. Collaborate, come together, figure it out. You know, we should make ourselves available to other hobbyists. We should want to help other people with reef tanks, because the more people that we help that are growing their own coral, keeping fish, keeping saltwater reef tanks, the more people that we help, the more the word gets out, and the more people want to become part of the hobby, which in the end really helps you and I even more. Maybe it lowers the prices on that nice piece that you've been waiting for because it's become more common. Maybe someone nearby where you live gets a nice piece of coral, and all of a sudden now you become friends with them, and you can share a piece of your coral, they share a piece of that coral, and you just swap for free, right? So there's a lot of cool things about this hobby, not to mention the science of it. So I'm not a scientist, and I'm not even going to try to go down that road, or I'll be editing this video and cutting stuff all over the place. But there's so much, it's just so rich with information, just so cool. And it's not just that we're talking about something that's just a standard object out there. We're talking about a real living animal, something that's alive, that lives because we keep it alive. So I'm excited about this, you guys. Nutrients is one of those things that a lot of people are afraid of, but if you can really change your attitude, change the way that you think about nutrients, and really dial them in to what your system and what your tank is going to love and appreciate, I guarantee you're going to go to sleep at night thinking, wow, nutrients really aren't that bad. This is actually pretty cool. I should trust what Aquatic Bob says. All right. That was weird. I might edit that out. But yeah. Boy, I can't believe how fast I just talked. That's really fast talking for me. You can tell I'm a little bit excited. So I hope I didn't step over myself too many times. But this whole YouTube experience has really been cool. I just love it. I look forward to making the videos. I really love editing the videos. I don't want to over edit. You know, some people over edit and just do a bunch of stupid crap with their videos. But there are some cool things that you can do with editing that draw you in, that make it more of a story, make it more entertaining, help you to learn more, help you to understand better. So I want to improve my experience, and I want to improve your experience with this. So any comments and your feedback is always appreciated. If you guys haven't already, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications. I'm uploading videos every week, sometimes multiple videos a week, sometimes 4 videos in a week. So some real cool stuff happening. I appreciate you guys, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Aquatic Bob's out. Yeah, so hey guys, just up at my dad's right now. You can see the garage in the background there. That's where we're setting up the 2 8-foot plywood aquariums that we're building. Really excited about that. I've got a good feeling about it. It's going to turn into a business, but for now, it's just going to be enjoying what we have, enjoying the process of building, setting up, buying fish, putting some more coral in there, some from my tank, some that we're going to buy together. And the best part about it is not only am I passionate about this hobby and I love it, but I get to do it with my dad. So we're going to be doing some cool stuff together on this tank. Hopefully we'll keep working hard on it and get it done soon. The sooner we just get it set up and running, the better, because when the tank is running, it begins the establishment period, which it really needs before you can start putting nicer fish and nicer coral in there. So just walking through the woods a little bit up at my dad's house, kind of just taking some pictures, some video of the woods. This is where all the magic is happening with building the 2 8-foot by 2-foot tall by 28-inch front to back plywood aquariums. And we're working on it again. So I'm hoping and estimating that within the next 2 weeks, we will be filling those aquariums up with water, salt water, and adding the rocks, hooking up the lights. Hopefully the plumbing will be done by then. But yeah, so a lot of what you're seeing here is a lot of drone footage, a lot of it's probably within a half mile of my dad's house, and I wish that it almost doesn't even look real. Like some of this almost doesn't even look real.